My next patron question is from Benjamin, who wants to know my thoughts on a video game adaptation currently in development. How do you think the Pac-Man live-action movie will be executed? For those of you unaware, it was recently announced a Pac-Man movie is being produced in association with Bandai Namco. It's being developed independently, and there is not a distributor attached yet. They also have not revealed plot details. It's going to be live action, which only raises more questions about what the film will look like and what the story will be. The video game is not exactly story-heavy, as it mostly focuses on a yellow circle eating dots being chased by ghosts. How can you build an entire movie around that? I think you can make a premise out of anything, so someone who's really creative could probably think of something. The decision to make a live-action film is odd, although I assume Pac-Man and the Ghost will be animated characters who will interact with live actors. The most cliched and obvious route they can take with this is having Pac-Man and the Ghost exist in a fantasy world, and then they're transported to our universe, and Pac-Man has to team up with human characters to stop them. That's not to say that would be a bad idea, as there's a lot you can do with that, but it's hardly the most original way to go about it. Another possible idea is that whatever city it takes place in gets overrun by Pac-Man and the Ghost, who treat it as their own personal maze. Everyone is confused at where these dots came from, and Pac-Man also keeps eating all the fruits and vegetables in town. Then the heroes in the movie have to try and stop them from wreaking more havoc. Similar to Pixels? Sure, but it could also be akin to a Godzilla movie, where Godzilla and the monsters battle each other, and we follow the humans trying to handle the disaster. The other big question is probably what the characters will look like. It's difficult to imagine a realistic-looking Pac-Man, but I've noticed plenty of recent live-action CG hybrids have opted to embrace the cartoony look of established characters rather than going for realism. Sonic the Hedgehog is of course a notable example after the initial backlash of his original movie design. Yes, that's obviously a cartoon hedgehog interacting with James Marsden, but audiences clearly did not have a problem with that. Meanwhile, Detective Pikachu kept mostly faithful to the Pokemon creatures from the game, and the designers and visual effects artists were able to blend their appearances well with their soft or hard textures. Even though Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers was mocking turning two-dimensional characters into CG characters, they still made sure to retain Dale's original cartoonish design when making that leap. The next question is probably what personalities they should have. I predict they'll have Pac-Man be a jokey everyman, which does seem like the right way to go about it. He will probably get into hijinks with the main live-action actor, and this will be where much of the humor comes from, along with whatever banter arises. They can choose to make the ghosts humorous, but there's also an opportunity to try and make them legitimately threatening. You don't really take them that seriously in the game, even when you're running away from them. Now imagine if the ghosts were actual cunning monsters. That would certainly up the stakes a bit. They could even steal the dots that give Pac-Man the ability to eat them, and maybe part of his story involves trying to locate their secret hiding place. Or those special dots could get lost somewhere, and Pac-Man has to travel to wherever they are in order to eat them and defeat the ghosts and stop them from causing more damage. Okay, I guess the Sonic the Hedgehog movie kind of already did that, but it does provide a bit of a ticking clock for Pac-Man and the human friends he meets along the way. These are the ideas I'm thinking of due to it being made as a live-action film, but I personally think a fully animated film is the more logical route to take. Pac-Man has even been depicted in animation before, and it presents so many more possibilities. Imagine the artists at DreamWorks or Sony or Warner Brothers Animation coming up with a fantasy world for Pac-Man and the Ghost to live in. That's more freeing than just having them hang out in New York or Los Angeles. They can also have the entire film consist of these outlandish characters, rather than figure out a way to include human characters in the story to justify being partly live action. Of course, I have no involvement with the production team working on the Pac-Man movie, and I have no idea what story they've come up with. Maybe they've thought of an extremely creative idea that's much better than anything I've suggested so far, and are working closely with designers and effects studios to make sure Pac-Man is brought to the screen in a visually appealing way that'll entertain and charm viewers. I'm certainly interested in seeing what they come up with. Thanks for your question, Benjamin.